Introducing the Canon EOS R50 V, Canon's latest mirrorless camera that's designed to deliver great video performance in a compact, creator-friendly package. It's sleek, smart, and purpose-built for today's content-driven world. The R50 V uses the sensor and imaging pipeline of the R50 and the video-first design we recently saw in the V1. The R50 V is a big step up from the V1's potential because of the RF mount and its APS-C sensor. Being able to use all of the amazing lenses Canon offers in the RF mount is a huge boost for creative potential, not to mention with an RF to EF adapter, the lens options you get are almost endless. I see it this way: if you start with the V1 and you find yourself outgrowing what it has to offer, an obvious choice to upgrade to would be the R50 V, as they are extremely similar in operation and button layout. The big differences between the two being the sensor and the RF mount. Though, that being said, the fact that you can get an R50 V and the all-new RFS 14 to 30mm f4 to 6.3 IS-STM PZ lens bundled together for less than what the V1 costs, maybe the right choice is to start off with the R50 V from the get-go. Anyways, what stood out to me about the R50 V was its autofocus ability, its stabilization, and its image quality. Just to get them out of the way, the R50 V has a ton of what I would consider secondary features, but those features could also be key features for other people, so here they are. The live button on top, which turns the camera into a high-quality webcam, and the built-in picture styles that help skip the steps of adding a filter in post. Now, before I get to the things I like best, let's talk specs. The Canon R50 V features a 24.2 megapixel APS-C CMOS sensor, dual pixel CMOS autofocus 2 with subject detection for people, animals, and vehicles, 4K ultra high definition video up to 30p and 60p with a crop oversampled from 6K, and up to 120 frames per second in HD. It also features a fully articulating vari-angle LCD touchscreen, perfect for vlogging and solo shooting, Canon's DIGIC X processor for fast operation and excellent low light performance, a mic and headphone jack, yes both, and finally a remote port for timecode. In addition to those specs, the design choices made for the body on the inside and outside of the camera are quite interesting. I say interesting because some choices were great and others were a bit confusing. It's so close to being great, but there are a few things that stood out for me in a big way. Firstly, the grip of the camera is too small. Even though it has a thumb grip for that extra little bit of stability, it is a little bit difficult to hold even with the super light 14 to 30mm. Secondly, I used a couple RF lenses with the camera and they all are thick enough that they stick out beyond the bottom of the camera. This makes it a bit difficult to attach larger tripod plates or tripod plates made for video tripods. Also, in general, no matter what type of tripod you use, if you use the 1/4-20 attachment that's on the bottom of the camera, you won't be able to access the battery card door. But if you are making vertical content, this isn't going to be a problem whatsoever because there is a second 1/4-20 thread on the other side of the grip to make shooting vertically extremely easy. Moving on to the internal parts of the body design, I have to start by mentioning that the lack of an EVF is massive because the LCD screen isn't bright enough for bright, clear days, even when it's turned up all the way. This is a video-first camera, and most people don't use a viewfinder for video, so I understand why there isn't one, but in this case, I don't understand why they didn't invest in a nicer LCD screen. And as it turns out, the R50 V actually has a lower resolution LCD screen than its older R50 V brother. So there is that to consider. I also wish the battery lasted a bit longer. From my shoots, I got about an hour plus a bit from one fully charged battery. It would have been nice to have one of Canon's bigger batteries in this camera, as it is a camera focused heavily on video. The R50 V uses the Canon LP-E17 battery pack. This is the same battery pack used in the PowerShot V1, but because it's powering a smaller camera in the V1, it is less noticeable, or rather it's more suited to the camera that it's powering. Having a bigger battery would have made the grip bigger as well, which in my opinion would have solved two of this camera's problems. So for me, it's really a two birds, one stone solution. So with all that out of the way, here is what I actually did like about the camera body. It's two big record buttons on the top and front of camera, the addition of a power zoom rocker, very good choice, the multifunction hot shoe that that lets you greatly expand your audio options, a tally lamp, again having separate headphone mic and remote ports, and finally its own built-in mics. Here's an example of what you can expect from those. Okay, so this is a test of the internal microphones. I have done nothing to affect their levels at all, and this is basically just the cameras taken straight out of the box, and it's a relatively quiet day out here, but a couple helicopters flying over. But anyways, this is what the audio sounds like when it's straight out of the box, no affecting it, and this is what it sounds like with a bit of post-processing. So here is another example of what the audio can sound like in the R50V, but right now I'm using a Sennheiser Profile Wireless, and it's sending it directly into the camera. And now we have the internal microphone. Again, this is the internal microphone right now that you are hearing. Let's plug it back in, and boom, there is the external microphone. See the difference? Hopefully you do. Like I said before, the body design is so close to being great, it's just held back by a few things. What the R50V isn't held back by is excellent autofocus and solid image quality. Autofocus is fast and sticky, whether you're filming a product review or trying to get the perfect shot of a small subject in unpredictable light. I've been shooting a lot of autofocus tests recently with different brands and their super telephoto lenses, and at least for bird animal tracking, Canon has that noticeable edge of accuracy even compared to other camera brands' top tier cameras. Here you can see that the combo of the R50V and the RF 100 to 500 can produce some awesome looking footage. The audio was also recorded by the built-in mics of the R50V. Something else to mention about video improvements is the movie digital image stabilization. It really does help you get smoother footage, even without a gimbal. And if you end up adapting older lenses to the R50V that don't have image stabilization, this is going to come in super handy. Image stabilization comes in two tiers, and both add a crop to the footage. I'd probably stick to using the first tier of stabilization for most of the time and use the second tier in more specific situations where that extra stabilization outweighs the extra crop. I have some final thoughts about the R50V, and they are about dynamic range. I was pretty happy with the dynamic range overall. I shot some footage in plain old Rec. 709 and some in C-Log3. Yes, the R50V shoots C-Log3, which as always is very easy to work with. The R50V shoots up to XFHEVC-S 422 10-bit, so you can trust that a ton of the color information is being recorded. This for sure helps in color correction and grading. All in all, I think the R50V is a solid choice for content creators and more serious video makers who want to get into interchangeable lens cameras or a backup to one of their more advanced Canon systems. Super interested to see what the future holds for the R50V line, and I think it is a great direction for Canon to head in with their cameras. I'd love to see Canon's answer to the FX3 in a more beefed up version of the R50V. Yes, I know that the C70 and C80 exist, but I think they are called to a higher purpose. Besides, all the key elements are there for the R50V to have an evolution into full frame. Anyways, there you go. That's the R50V, Canon's newest compact video first creator camera. If any of you end up getting the R50V, let me know in the comments and let me know what type of content you shoot with it. There are so many different applications this camera can be useful in. Well, anyways, that's all I've got to say for today. Get it at vistek.ca. See ya. Bye. you.